Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Pick Me Godcast. We're going to be getting started in just under 2 minutes here. In the meantime, I need everybody to hit that like button. Share this out on your social media platforms right now. And let everybody know that we are going live with another episode of the Pick Me Godcast. Featuring your lovely hosts, Brown Skin Baddie and Nicety Girl. So we're going to be getting started in just a few minutes. Y'all sit tight and get your mind right. We're going to have another great conversation tonight. Y'all know how we do it. Peace and black love. One minute remaining. Seconds remaining.
Peace, God.
Hey, Dad. He's so good.
Hey, man, I got you a new book.
A new book?
Check it out. Check it out. Let me know how you like it. I'll be back. Man, this Bitcoin, this Ethereum ain't doing nothing for me right now, man. Gotta find some new investments.
Peace, God. What you doing?
Peace, God. It's good.
I think this book is kind of inappropriate.
Inappropriate? What's up with it?
It's inappropriate because look at these.
LGBT? Oh, man, I'm sorry about that, God.
I accept your apology.
Man, it's a shame, man. You can't even find no decent books for you nowadays without having to have these difficult conversations.
I have an idea. Maybe we should make a series of our own book.
A book series? That is a good idea.
7 volumes.
7, I get it. 7 volumes. What should we call it?
7 the Super Hey Rule.
Perfect. 7 the Super Hey Rule.
And then maybe we could even make some bundles of it once we get to volume 3.
Oh, see, now you're thinking like a businessman. I like that idea, man. A foundational Black American children's series.
Perfect.
Visit www.godcastbooks.com and pre-order your book today.
Sunshine.
Wisdom is the wise word spoken by the wise man. Wisdom is also symbolic to the black woman. Long natural hair, short with the waves. I give a shout out to my sisters with the curly braids. They call it 4C, we call it non-ether. She suffer autoimmune and formed alopecia. So keep a black woman's name out your fucking mouth. I will slap a nigga brains out his fucking scalp. They on demon time, she on God time. Let's take a walk, we gon' see what's on the goddess mind.
Hey, there we go.
We back again.
We back. I missed you.
I
Seems
missed
like
you
forever.
Yes, super excited because we have a dope conversation. Welcome to the Pick Me Godcast, everybody that's watching on tonight.
Yay! Woo-hoo-hoo. I hope they loving it so far. I know we knew with the Pick Me Godcast, but thank you for those that have been supporting from the beginning and continue to support. And we just hope that you love the messages, the content that we're giving, because it's all about the message. It's all about love. We're here for the love.
Absolutely. And we were going to continue to give you these dope topics and conversation where we are creating a safe space where you and us can create a transparent, authentic environment where we can truly talk about different topics that affect our communities. So
yes.
all right, so let's go into it. We got a real dope topic of conversation tonight, and that was on women with multiple baby daddies. Of course, Nicey had this topic, and I was like, oh yeah, this is a good one. This is juicy. We got to talk about this one.
Yes, we got to. And I'm not going to just say women, because I think that we can't have the conversation about multiple baby daddies without the men, because they're part of it. Can't have multiple baby daddies without the men, right? So we're going to talk about, this. I think the negative stigma is placed more on the women more so than the men, but we're going to have that conversation.
Absolutely, because that was that Kevin Samuels genre where we're picking up with all the multiple kids, but we'll dive into that a little later. Let's first go into a little snippet of Miss Erykah Badu as she talks about her essence and why men fall in love.
And so there we are in your bedroom. You are keenly aware of the urban legend that men can't look you in the eye without falling in love.
That's why I try to wear, a hat. Because I don't know what's happening. I just.
But how does that affect? Are you single now?
I am.
Okay. So how does it affect? When a man knows I'm going to look at her and I'm never going to be able to forget her.
Yeah.
That's a lot of pressure.
Women too.
Yeah.
And children and animals.
So think any breathing thing.
Any living, breathing thing.
I mean, it's a powerful. How do you describe it?
What, my power?
Yeah.
I think it's indescribable. And the bedroom, that's not where you're going to find it, because my magic doesn't lie between my thighs. It lies between my ears.
Exercise and healthy eating.
Yes.
All right. So
yes,
first we got to talk about the essence of Erykah Badu. Please. I mean, first off, she's very eccentric already in her style and her approach, very unique. She has something very mystical about her. So I can see how men could be attracted. Then let's not forget Miss Badu is an attractive woman, and she has a nice body under them.
Yeah. And those hazel eyes, she's conscious. I'm just saying, so she has healing power. She's a doula, so that all these things are attracting men, like she said, women, animals, and children.
Yes, indeed.
She's a nurturer.
And it's so funny. I have this conversation all the time. I'm like, Erykah Badu has some of the baddest, dopest dudes as her baby daddies. I mean, like, she don't have no regular dudes as her baby dad. She has some of the most creatively dope entertainers ever. Right. And but also, like, I felt like one I wouldn't have saw her with, which was going to be the DOC. I grew up on him, with NWA and stuff like that, the whole gangster, persona. So when I heard that they were together and had a daughter together, I was like, DOC, like, that was kind of mixed match, but opposites attract, But I felt the same way with a lot of the guys she talked to. Like, I could see Andre 3000 in her, because they both kind of have that eccentric style. But I was kind of shocked with Jay Electronica, because he's Muslim.
Yeah.
And how did these two come together? Because I've been a fan of Jay Electronica for some years now. And just to see that these two have had a daughter together, I'm like, okay, what was the dynamic there? And then most recently, I found out her and Common dated for a small time.
Early in her career, I was like, Common, Common has, had his hands on a few, celebrities. Let's just be very clear. I still want to know what's wrong with him, though, because he hasn't married anybody. No, like, when I say what's wrong, I don't mean like if he's moist or anything like that, but like, you know, he's had some very successful, beautiful Black women, but this man will not commit. He hasn't could put a ring on anyone's finger. What's wrong, Common?
Well, but the same thing can be said about Erykah Badu. Like, she's not locked down either. She recently went on Tamara Hall, like we just seen, and she said she's single. I mean, I think some people get to different seasons and places in their lives where they're like, they're content being single, or they're content being by themselves. I've even talked to some of my girlfriends who are like, I don't want to be married. That's not my goal. You know, I don't want any children. I don't want to be married. That's just not for me. So, you know,
or maybe the men didn't ask.
Maybe
the men didn't ask,
or maybe they never met their one. That could be too, you know. But that kind of goes into our topic on tonight, though, Nicey, because you know how we all have our preconceived notions and thoughts behind, like, the why behind the what, right? And with this is a great topic. You know, women and men with multiple children, with multiple different people, how that's perceived in our society, in our culture. What was your thoughts when you brought this as a topic? What were you thinking when you said we need to cover this? This would be something good to talk about.
I saw the clips of Erykah Badu again on the Breakfast Club, right? And so Charlamagne the God, I'm paraphrasing, but he was like, you know, there's really not a lot of negative, you know, attention towards you know, having multiple, you know, kids and multiple baby daddies, you know. And so she elaborated on that. And before we kind of delve into the conversation, I would like to play that clip if we can, so that so you guys can kind of get a feel of why we decided to touch on this topic tonight.
Indeed, makes complete sense. So let's go ahead and tune into this clip with Erykah Badu and the Breakfast Club.
Oh, yes, lucky. Born on the right day, you know. I don't know. I think if you're transparent, people shouldn't do that, should they? Yeah, I didn't know anything. I didn't know. No one would expect to have 3 baby daddies. Who plans that? But when those things start to happen, you don't stop living. You continue to grow and live and learn and make the best out of.
You make lemonade out of lemons, or lemons out of lemonade, however the saying go. You do the best that you can.
Yep. And that was a true sentiment when she said, you know, who plans that?
Just
no
to
one
do that.
really plans to have children with multiple men. I mean, like I mentioned to someone not long ago, I said, you know, when I had my son, it definitely wasn't planned. So, you know, let's be realistic. A lot of babies are made not with a plan. They didn't plan it, you know?
Yeah. I was a mother at 19. I surely was not planning that. I didn't plan, you know, to have a child as a teenager. At the same time, I also knew that having sex and unprotected sex, there was the possibility of getting pregnant. I think that you're in the moment, you know what I'm saying? And in that moment, there's a lot of irresponsibility in the moment. You know what I mean? So, like she said, who plans that though? Who plans
Exactly. And then there's no degree to it too. Like you at 19, I had my son, I got pregnant at 30, but still it was unplanned. I mean, like you said, I was in the moment. I was not thinking about, hey, let's plan this baby together. Like, and that's a lot of people. I mean, let's be real. That's a lot of people out there. So with that being said, you know, I think we need to have more grace for our culture and the situations, because we don't know
the circumstances. We don't know what got them there. We don't know how people are raised. We don't know if they come from single parent homes. See, I think the cure for this is having the example of being married, you know, and having your children in a planned manner, you know, but especially with your spouse, not outside people that you're just hooking up with. If we have the examples of that, I think that we'll see less and less of that. But let's be clear. I grew up with a single mom. Now, my mother was married to my sister and brother's father. My sister and brother are a year apart, but my sister, who's the oldest, is 10 years older than me. My brother is 9 years older than me. They're a year apart. So my mom married to their father, got married at 18 years old, whatever. They have their 2 children. They get divorced. I come years later, but I came out of wedlock. What do? I got married. I have my daughter, but I get married to my daughter's father. I get divorced. 10 years later, I have my second child with someone else. I did not get married again though. So I think it's I want to say she taught me that, but I think it's almost a generational curse, if you will, because I'm repeating the behaviors and the patterns of my mother.
That's powerful. I think what's important too is that I don't know where this culture now has come from, where it's like, you a simp if you raising somebody else's kids, and I don't want to deal with a woman or they got multiple kids. It's like, what is happening? Because I was raised by a man who was not my father. And I'm so unbelievably grateful to him for coming into my mother's life and being a staple of what an example of a father and a provider and a protector was in our household. I mean, let's take an example that's a public figure, Sierra, who had a child with Future, right? And was going through some disgruntlement with Future because of with taking care of their son together. And here we got Russell that comes in, who readily and openly is taking care of her son, treating her son like his own. But there was some disgruntlement with our culture with Russell doing so. It was like, he's a simp.
He's weak.
She's weak. She want Future for real. She don't really want him. And it's like, what is all of this disgruntlement with Russell providing and taking care of a woman he loves and a child, making this child who had no father, who wasn't taking care of the other kids he had, but was stepping in to be an example to a young man that didn't have that example? What was wrong with that?
Absolutely nothing. And then if you want to take it back, right, we can go back into African culture. When someone in the village, a man in the village passes away, another man in the village marries that woman, and it's not about sex, it's not about any of that, it's about helping that family. It's about stepping up because that man is no longer there to do it. So again, we've just gotten so far away from culture, from what is right, but it also a lot of degeneracy is pushed on us. If we want to be honest, a lot of this, I believe, is just engineered by the white supremacist power structure, and they use it in our music. They use the rap artist Future, multiple baby mamas, that NBA young boy, doesn't he have like 11 kids,
like 13
and I don't even think
kids or something?
He's not even 30 yet.
Ooh,
you know what I'm saying? But that's promoted. Now, you do not hear anything bad about him having multiple children by multiple women. What you will hear is all the negative stigma on the women. They let him lay up and get them pregnant, blah, blah, blah. It takes 2. We don't get
I want to ask you, what do you think that is? Why do you think there's just this stigma when it comes to the women having this stigma on them, but the men are like, oh yeah, you got all these kids, that's cool, bro? Like,
I think it's a part of when you think about sex, the woman is opening herself up to the man. So I think that's a part of it. Like, she's opened herself up to multiple men and made multiple children. I think that's just my perception of it, is the fact that we open ourselves up to the men. So I think that the feeling is we should have more control than the men. Men are allowed, boys will be boys. Boys will be boys, but you're supposed to be a queen. You're supposed to be, classy and elegant, and opening yourself up multiple times to men and having children is not acceptable for us.
Yeah, because I've been hearing this notion about like giving men access to your womb, unmarried, without that plan. So I get that. But I think the men need to be held just as accountable, because if you've got 13 kids, or you're like Nick Cannon who have all these children, I wonder if the mothers thought about, like, because for me, Nicey, what beats money and all of this other financial security is the person's time,
Right.
time is everything. Time is the most expensive thing that you can give to someone, especially your children. And it's disheartening to know that somebody that has that many kids, you're stretching yourself thin. And not only that, you're a career man. So you don't have time to really devote to your family already. So to have to schedule the time with these people and the kids, it's like somebody's gonna get the short end of the stick.
The end of the stick. But again, and it goes back to what I said initially, though. What's promoted to our culture? Nick Cannon, is a big celebrity, and he has a lot of a younger audience that watches him. It's not the 30 and 40-year-olds that's watching Nick like that. They watch him, but it's the younger kids that are watching him. So Nick got multiple baby mamas as long as he can take care of them. They're not thinking about the time. They're not thinking about the love. They're not thinking about the hugs. They're not thinking about father being there, for some of those games, because he's going to miss a lot of them. One, because of his career is going to take him away. But how do you pick and choose which child you go to a special event? Or what if they're both sick and in the hospital? How do you pick and choose which one you're going to go to the hospital and sit by the bedside? How do you choose that?
That's tough. That's a very valid question. And that's why I was thinking with the children's mothers, I'm like, did they think this through? Crazy. Did they think this through? Because he has all little infants and they're all around the same age. It's like
they're stair steppers.
Did he think this through? Did they think this through?
I think that it was another level of clout chasing. Unfortunately, as well, we have this culture of clout chasing. And, a little attention is better than no attention for some people. And these women have set themselves up for that. I don't even think he can't give them too much. There's not enough money that you can give me. I want a family. I want you there.
I want a present man with me and my children. That's important. And, I also thought about this too, Nicey. I have a son from a previous relationship that I had with my son's father, but I plan to get married. That is in my future. I plan to get married and I want to have another baby,
Yes.
And I will have multiple children's fathers. And it's like, do men really go into relationships thinking like that? Or women too, It's like, let's be real. When you're past 30, more than likely you're dealing with someone who has a child from a situation prior to you. I mean, the likelihood of you finding someone 35 and up that has no children is very, very rare. So you're more than likely going to get someone who has had some type of situation with someone prior. I mean, the men that I've been dating have been married. They have had children. They, and so it's like, do I shut off these good men because their situations and relationships did not last or were successful? No, absolutely not. These are still great men. It's just that relationship, for whatever reason, didn't work out.
It just didn't work.
But I wonder if that same grace is given to women, and I believe it is with mature men. What has your dating experience been with men? And
I haven't had that issue, because one, my kids are spread so far apart. One time in the dating realm, one time have I had a man try to shame me about having multiple baby daddies. And let me just explain. Mind you, my kids are 10 years apart, y'all. 10 years.
Ooh.
So I met this guy out. I don't even remember where, but we were like talking on the phone, texting each other and stuff like that. He happens to text me a picture of him in the bed. He forgot to move some stuff out the way, and I called it out. Like, there's a woman presence here, and I don't play those kind of games. I just don't. I don't date married men. I don't date men that's in situationships, none of that. When you come at me, come ready. You know what I'm saying? I don't play those games. So I called him out on it or whatever. So he goes off, well, that's all right. I ain't got to talk to you anyway. You got 2 baby daddies, so blah, blah, blah. I was like, that does not shame me at all. I said, because again, my kids are 10 years apart, not 1 year apart. Like,
not back to back.
They're not back to back. They're literally 10 years apart. So I didn't feel anything about it. I knew in that moment he had nothing else to say because he got caught up in what he got caught up with. And I saw him like 2 years later, maybe a year later at a party. I ran into him at a party. It's funny.
How did that go?
We just looked at each other. We didn't. I didn't say anything to him, but we knew. Like he knew who I was. I knew who he was. Yeah, weird.
Wowzers.
But one time, I don't have that issue. Though I haven't personally had issues with men accepting me or wanting to date me because not wanting to date me because I have two children's fathers. I just don't. First of all, my oldest is grown. My oldest is 28. Well, she'll be 20. She'll be 28 in May. So,
Nicey, you look so beautiful. Like
what?
You have a 28. You look 28. So how the hell you got a 28-year-old?
I'm gonna have a 28-year-old, and my son actually will be 18 on March 8th. Yeah.
Let's give Nicey a round of applause, y'all, for looking so amazing. Black don't
Shout out
crack,
to Black Don't
okay?
Crack. Shout out to Black Don't Crack.
Not crack. Looking amazing.
Thank
But
you.
I just think too, yes, I do believe women should guard their wounds and be more selective. This is something that I have learned in time. But I also believe too, there has to be grace in our culture. There has to be grace. We have to give each other grace. The truth of the matter is, I don't care who you meet, whether they have children or not, nobody's perfect. So you can get the woman that has no kids. That doesn't mean she's exempt from having traumas as a Black woman if you're dating Black. That doesn't mean she's exempt from having flaws, because everybody has them. And I don't know what it is with our culture, but just like that man that you mentioned, I feel like a lot of it, the spirit that I'm feeling is like shaming women in a sense. Like I get correction and accountability because I'm big on a correction and accountability in our community. Like, hey sis, what's going on? This is your third child back to back. There's 3 different men. What's going on? Or 10 different men. Okay, let's have this conversation. But I think what we're doing is we're putting a lot of people in a box. We don't know the situations. She got multiple kids. She got 2 or more kids. We gonna put her in a box. She got 1 kid. We gonna put her in a box. And it's like, did you get to know these women? Did you get to hear their stories? Everybody has a story, and were you able to put it in context? Because you can't put everybody in the same box. You just can't.
Now I will ask though. With that being said, how many is too many? How many baby mamas or baby daddies is too many? Like, what's the cutoff?
For me, I think after 2. After 2 is like, sis, come on. You should know. Like, after 2 kids, it's like, okay, let's regroup. Let's reflect. What are we doing here? Because now you got 2 different baby daddies, right? Where are you going?
Unmarried.
Unmarried. Let's have this conversation. I think 2 is like the grace is over after 2. It's like, okay, now you're stepping into 3 because now this is a habitual behavior.
Well, what about for men? How many is too many for men?
I'm saying the same thing for both parties. It's 2. Okay. If you are past 2, because I get 1, okay, that mistake. But once you hit 2, okay, and you going into 3 and 4, it's like, okay, what's happening? What's happening?
Yeah.
What do you think?
I agree with you because like you said, it's a pattern at this point. Like you're just in here knocking people up, and first of all, are you hopping in the sack too soon too? Maybe we're not waiting before we're jumping in the bed with one another. We need to spend more time courting and talking and getting to know each other, because if there's sometimes, and what I found out honestly in past relationships, when I think about them, hindsight is 20/20, we had more sexual chemistry than we had anything else, right? I got caught up in the physicality of all of it, and there was nothing else, right? So before we start doing that, because children can be made, even if you're using protected sex, having protected sex, there's no 100% protected sex. Something can happen at any time. So we need to spend more time courting one another, because in the event that pregnancy does happen, are we willing to be together? Are we willing to see this thing through? Back in the days, that's what our families did. There was no getting pregnant out of wedlock. Y'all get married.
Just facts. Because our culture wasn't playing that at that time. Our culture was like, listen, y'all got a baby, y'all get married.
Yep.
I don't give a damn if y'all like each other or not. Y'all gonna get married, y'all gonna raise these kids, and that's what's gonna be. But I think this culture is so freely sexually liberated that we're missing the family dynamic piece, which is a major piece to the puzzle. So I think that we need
family
to,
piece.
yeah, I think we need to get back to that. It's ironic too, because man, I again, like we mentioned before, I think both parties need to be held accountable. Nobody is
1000%.
exempt from this accountability piece tonight. I think both parties need to realize, like, are you going to have the time? Because a lot of people talk about the money and child support and all this, and money is very important. Don't get me wrong, that's an important equation in raising children, but your time is so much more. Before we go on, let's go ahead and go into our commercial break, and then we'll come back with some more conversation.
Pick Me Godcast.
Peace. This is the Black Dot, father, author, writer, poet, MC, one half of the dynamic duo, the #1 father and son podcast, Urban X TV. I am super excited about the new release, The Master's Table, by Sincere Love to God and RP Beats. This album is going to be crazy. It's the follow-up to The Spear and The Shield. Already know what time it is. It's got some dope pieces on it. You're going to love it. Also on the album is yours truly, The Black Dot. So you want to go to the Masters RSVP and secure your copy now. They got a bundle package. You get a backdrop, you get a poster, you get the digital download, you get the physical copy, you get a hoodie. The whole process is really crazy. So RSVP to Masters RSVP, and you can get that dope album, My Sincere Love to God and RP Beats, The Master's Table. You will never be disappointed at how dope this project is going to be. Peace.
Hey.
All right.
Hey.
Yes. You saw it there. You saw it here first. Okay.
Right.
So, but back to our topic of conversation. Now, here's my question. What are some solutions that we can put into place to be more proactive when it comes to, children out of wedlock? What can we do to be better planners when it comes to children? Because I feel like if we were more prone to plan, we would see a significant difference in our culture when it comes to children and our relationships between Black men and women. What do you think, Nicey?
Well, yeah, I agree with you. One, being planners and having the conversations, talking to our children. I'm all about, talking to, I have a teenager. He's still in high school, graduating this year. And we talk about hip hop culture and the music videos and the YouTube videos and the music and stuff like that. I have these conversations with him. I'm obviously not married, but my son already desires marriage. We were in the car the other day and he said, Mom, you know what I told Alexis? That's his girlfriend's name. And I said, what? He said, I told her I'm a man of God. And I'm not just going to be humping on anybody, which he hasn't even started doing any of that yet. But he literally, so I said, what made you say that? Why did you say that? He was like, because I just want her to know, like, I'm for real. And I know that we're young and stuff like that. He's like, but I want to be married in the future. I want to have a family in the future. So I'm not just going to be humping anybody. I'm a man of God. And I'm just sitting here like, my talks are working, my prayers are working.
Wow.
But let me tell you, we have deep conversations and I love it. And I don't always have to initiate the conversations, which I love. He initiates the conversations a lot of times because he wants that feedback from me, and I'll share a letter. I think it's a text message I think he sent me.
Oh, yes.
A few months ago. And he was talking about how, Mom, you're just a great mom. He said, you taught me how to, understand feelings, but not feel weak. when I have feelings. You taught me that it's okay for me as a, male to have feelings, but not be weak at the same time. Like he just sent me this long, long text and it was so beautiful. And I'm like, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. Yeah. Yes. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. Yeah.
I love that because I have a son and he'll be 7 this year. He's 6. And, I always, I feel it's important that as a Black woman, and just veering off just a little bit, as a mother to a son, I want my son to know that his feelings are valid.
Oh, yes.
I want him to know that his thoughts matter. So anytime I'm having a conversation with him, I'm always asking him, how was your day?
Okay.
What did you experience today? How did that feel? Okay. What were your thoughts about that? And he's so smart at 6. So you can have these intelligent conversations, but I love hearing that your son feels that you are his safe space.
Oh, yeah.
Where he can share himself with you wholly and not feel minimized at any point or scrutinized or judged for having these feelings. And I think that's so important. I think we as Black women and Black people need to get back into that space of allowing Black men in particular to feel. But that's a whole nother topic.
And not be weak and not be called weak because he has feelings, because he is emotional, maybe. Right. I need him to show emotion. I don't want no stoic, robot. Like I need, because I go by verbal communication, body language, all that. I need to see emotion.
You are definitely raising a king for a beautiful queen out there one of these days.
You.
Whether it's with his girlfriend, whether it's
right.
with his girlfriend now or some other woman, but whoever is going to be blessed enough to get your son is going to be extremely happy.
Thank you. Likewise.
Thank you. Now, but somebody did pose a good question in here. So are we giving the same rule to Erykah Badu, being that she has more than 2 children outside of wedlock? Are we holding her to that same level of accountability?
Yeah, well, she held herself to that same accountability. We didn't play the whole clip, and we can replay it for you guys to get an extended version of that. But she's talked about not having the example of that. So we touched on that early on in the show, so a lot of this comes from not having the example. So again, we have to be the examples that we want to see, be the change that we want to see in our communities by promoting successful, beautiful Black nuclear families.
And I think she has such beautiful daughters too. I can almost attest that she's not teaching her daughters to have multiple children outside of wedlock. I can almost guarantee that because the level of Erykah's seeming consciousness, I know she's certain that this isn't how you would want to do it, especially in this culture. I'm sure she's teaching her daughters, like, take your time, like Nicey said, vet, court these people. And get married, create that family dynamic, knowing that man is going to be able to invest the time, the security, the provision that's necessary to make the family successful. So
what about the I'm gonna say keep a ninja babies, because there's those females too.
Ooh,
we got to talk about the keep a ninja babies. Women are out here having babies because they think that's going to keep a man. Sorry, ladies, it's not.
Let me go on the record.
Further.
Let me go on the record first saying, okay, I had my son at 30, and I have never been one of those girls that's like, yeah, I'm gonna have his baby, girl. I'm gonna, girl, I got to have his baby. I ain't never been her. I ain't never been her, sis. And I know a lot of them. I know a lot of them. And I hate to call my sisters out because y'all know who y'all are. I hope y'all watching this show right now. We're going to have accountability today.
Yes,
but the truth of the matter is I've never been her. That mindset is toxic. And it's a toxic monument in our culture right now with women thinking that they're going to have babies with men and they're just going to stick around, whether that's poking holes in the condoms. I've heard so many tales of men saying that women were taking contraceptives and really wasn't, they were lying, and just the men never stick around because first off, it started off in deception. So more than likely, it's not going to be successful anyway. And it also creates more distance and dissonance between us as Black men and women when it comes to the trust and the building of the family. Like she said, nucleus. It's like, why would you want to start off like that? It's horrible.
You remember not too long ago, there was a story that came out with Drake with some female. He flushed the condom. I guess it didn't go all the way down, and this fool tried to take the condom out and the juice. And yeah, like it exists, y'all. We just telling the truth here. Like women out there exist. So again, fellas, you know, when you're trying, when you talk to a woman, I think a man can tell by the first verbal conversation what it's about. But if you can't, you can't discern by the first conversation when you ask her for her number and you have a few phone conversations, you should know right then and there what it's about. You should just know.
Yeah.
There's an energy.
I think the other piece to that is to, I think, and I will share the same sentiment to my son, make sure the person that you're having sex with is somebody you really can see yourself with in the future. Don't just be having sex just to be merely casually having sex, because a lot of times I've heard from men who have baby mamas that they did not like and did not want. It was casual sex that they didn't even want to have anyway with this woman. So it's like, you put yourself in an unseemingly good position, and now you have a child with a woman who you never liked in the first place. It's like
never liked or got along with. Now you don't get along because y'all realize y'all don't like each other, and all this other stuff. Now it's child support situations, or she's the baby mama from hell. All these
court
things
legalities.
That you don't want. Yes,
don't want to let you see your child. I mean, I hear it every day because I have
all
so many male friends who are disgruntled with women that they never had plans on being with. So it's like,
stop laying with them.
Stop laying with them.
If you don't plan on being with them, don't lay with them. And that's just what it is. If you don't plan on being with her, do not lay with her. Likewise for the women. If you don't plan on being with him, if he's not giving you husband, communication and stuff like that, there's no need to be laying down. Remember when we had I don't know which show it was, and we spoke about this too, kind of abstaining from sex until we know that there's a real commitment and stuff. So that's why I said that as well, because, obviously I'm not saying wait till marriage, right? But I'm trying to abstain as long as possible because I want to make sure that there's a real, spiritual connection. Absolutely. I want to know that we have something before we start taking next steps, because I think that's going to come when it's time to come, but we need to be building on everything else. Get the real foundation set,
Ooh, that was powerful. That spoke volumes, what you just said right there. Like, can we focus on the connection first? Not so much I'm attracted to you, which you mentioned earlier.
We know.
I think a lot of our culture is moved and is taught to us and ingrained in us that it's the physical attraction. But let me tell you, as a woman in my late 30s, that it's beyond just the attraction that you have for someone. Like Erica said, it's the brain. It's what's in between your ears. And are you both in alignment in where you're going and where you see yourselves? Like, it's more than just having a baby.
Yeah. And my thing is, if he's not aligned on with his purpose himself, where he's going, if he don't know where he's going, then how he going to lead you? How's he going to provide and protect for a family? He don't know where he's going, ma'am. But you done hopped in the bed with this person who has no direction for himself. So how does he plan to direct you? And
see, this is why I said after 2, these are the questions that you should be having. I'm going to give you grace to 2. But after that, it's like, okay, what's happening here? Because these are the questions you need to be having. Am I connecting with these men? Are we in alignment with one another? Is this a serious, committed relationship? Is he really putting in the actions toward what he's talking about? Or is she showing me what she's saying? Like, we need to stop all of this attraction mess and really get to the fundamentals. Like, okay, are we building legacy or not?
Yeah, legacy. Right. Did you say it one more time?
Are we, this for the people in the back, are we building legacy or what are we doing? Because if we're not, then this isn't the relationship for me. And I don't know about you, Nicey, but now at this age, I've gotten okay with moving on. Like, hey,
Oh,
this isn't
easy.
working for
Easy.
me. But I wish you the best. I hope you find what you're looking for. I have gotten so
Easy.
good at this isn't for me. We're not
Easy.
in alignment.
Yeah, and we can be friends. We cool. It's no diss, but this isn't for me, and it can't be for you because it ain't for me. So, yeah,
Precisely.
right. So, I know that we had someone in the chat that wanted to see the clip because it accidentally got cut off. So
Okay.
I would like to take another break so that we can play that clip again with Erykah Badu speaking about the multiple children fathers.
All right.
Allowed yourself to be labeled, like even when it comes to men, right? So people always talk about your baby fathers, but you like they can't ever label you anything. Like they don't do that with other women. Other women they'll put labels on.
Oh, yes, lucky. Born on the right day, is. I don't know. I think if you're transparent, people shouldn't do that, should they? Yeah, I didn't know anything. I didn't know. No one would expect to have 3 baby daddies. Who plans that? But when those things start to happen, you don't stop living. You continue to grow and live and learn and make the best out of those situations and things. Who would want to do that? In this judgmental society.
You just fucked me up because I thought Erykah Badu planned it.
You did?
Absolutely.
Okay, well, I planned it.
I thought you.
Some part of me.
It's got to be, right? Yeah.
No. Let's be transparent. For my sisters out there, we fall in love. Love is a chemical thing. We fall in love. Really, I think God make us fall in love just long enough to get pregnant, so that we could go ahead and procreate, keep the race going, and then that dies down, and then everything else is on you. Depending on your culture, next step is marriage, or the next step is another mate. The next step is whatever. In our culture, the next step is supposed to be marriage. And it doesn't fit everybody. That doesn't fit me, And marriage is in this country a culture. It's a culture. You're supposed to do a certain thing. So because we're all individual beings, everybody does not have relationship skills. Everybody does not know how to be a mate, And we try, but we're not taught that. That's something that we're not taught how to do. It's a whole culture built around it, but we don't even know how to do it. It's the most important thing.
One thing.
We don't even know how to do it. She said, we don't know how to do it, but it's the most important thing.
Girl, we had this topic so many times on our lives before about relationship building skills and the skills that we need to have healthy interactions and healthy relationships with each other. And it's so funny that she says that because we don't have the skills.
We don't have the
skills.
A
lot of us don't have the skills to know how to communicate effectively, to listen deeply, to have the leadership skills, some men, necessary to lead our families, lead our homes. It's a lot of things that we weren't equipped because our parents didn't teach us. Like you mentioned some time before, that's why I said we got to have grace for each other, because a lot of us don't know what we don't know.
We don't know what we don't know. And I can say I didn't have that example. Like I said, my mom was married to my sister and brother's father. I came 10 years later. My sister moved out at 18. I was 8. My brother moved out at 17. You know what I'm saying? So I was what they would call a latchkey kid. My mom always worked. So I was the kid that went to school with the key around my neck. I had to let myself, in the house when I walked home from school. I knew not to let anyone in. When my mama got home, it was eat and she went to bed because she had to do it the next day.
Go to work.
And my mama didn't have another man, live in the house. My father never lived with us. My father, my father passed away. I think it's been 4 or 5 years ago. But prior to that, I only saw him sporadically throughout my life, to be honest. And one time I asked him, how many kids do you have? And he told me he don't know. And I found out at his funeral, he had 5 with his wife, 1 with my mom, I met another brother that's in Texas, and my father died a month before his 65th birthday, and he had a 13-year-old and a 15-year-old too by two other women. Now, I don't know if any other ones wasn't there, right? I don't know. I'm just telling you. So, yeah, we have to go back to what we were taught. If certain things weren't taught to us, and my dad, I asked him, he joked. He was like, "Oh, I lost count." That
And you
wasn't
know what's the
cute.
crazy thing too? My father too, definitely a Rolling Stone. I have so many siblings. I don't even know them all. I don't even know all their names.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but it's like, I wonder, do men who have all of these children sometimes think about stuff like that? Like, dang, your children don't even know each other. That's crazy. Like, you're
My daddy
producing
didn't
and
do
putting
shit
your
for me.
yeah, you're producing and putting your seed out there, but your children don't have relationships with one another, nor do you have relationships with them. So it's like,
Yeah.
why?
Yeah.
You know?
But this is the example. This is still the example. Now, I would say this for his older children that I met, because he was married when my mom was there. First of all, he's 16 years older than my mom. My mom was 27 when she met him. But his children that he had with his wife, the first five, children, all of them married with children. Foundation. That's what they saw. Now us outside ones, totally different thing.
Wow. That's so crazy how much of an effect. See, parents don't think that they have an effect on their children like that. But it's so funny how children can watch and see interactions between mommy and daddy and interpret that as what relationship should be like.
Yep.
A relationship should be like subconsciously. And it's so crazy as adults how we subconsciously filter relationships through that.
Mm-hmm.
Until you're actually doing the work, getting therapy and reflecting and doing the necessary work within yourself. But before that, you're functioning through that filter.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. And with my son coming up with his father, I made a conscious decision that we are a family. We're not together, but we are a family. So there was always an open door policy for him to come over, hang with him, pick him up, whatever.
Love that.
We always, birthdays, we'll just decide we're going to go to Six Flags. We're going as a family because my son wants both his parents there. And we would take a group of his friends and stuff like that, and we will all just hang out like homies. But I just wanted him to have that normalcy as much as possible. We're not together, but we're friends. We're not angry. We're not upset with each other. I don't want you to think that that's how it has to be because we didn't make it.
Oh, that's beautiful. And that's another part that I love to see in relationships, because the truth of the matter is not every relationship is going to work out, but I love to see great co-parenting relationships and dynamics where the children are still seeing healthy interactions between both parents, which they need to see, although the relationship wasn't successful, because the children are learning in every way.
It was hard for me. Trust me, I wanted to be because the stuff that I went through, but I was like, that's what I went through. That has nothing to do with him. I'll take that up with him, on our time, but I don't have to show that side to my son. And that was hard to do, but I made a conscious decision to do it for the betterment of my child so he can grow up happy.
Oh,
and honestly, in dating, my son, like for the longest time, y'all, probably up until a year and a half, 2 years ago, he gave me a hard time about dating. If I leave, I'm going on a date. Or whole temper tantrums, y'all. Like I went through it because I think in his mind, he still had this fantasy that one day his father and I will get back together because we're friends, but we all get along. We hang out sometimes. We go to the movies. We do this. He still had, I think it was giving him this false sense of hope. But at the same time, your father is dating, live with someone. You don't give him that pushback you give me. And so I have to tell him, like, it's not fair. Like, I understand what you want, but just like he's able to live his life, I want to be able to live my life, and I want to be happy too. And so he finally apologized to me, hugged me and kissed me. Was like, Mom, you're right. You deserve to be happy, and I want you to be happy. And I would never, ever do that, ever again, or stop you, or, throw these fits or whatever. You deserve it. You're right. You deserve it.
And I think that's another important factor too, is the transparency conversations that you have with your children, which you said you mentioned you had with your son a lot. Don't hold back in telling your children the truth, because they want that. They need that. And they need to be able to create their own conscious decisions for themselves of what's happening, and understanding mommy's feelings, daddy's feelings, and putting it into this proper perspective. And I feel like when you're hiding and you're not telling children everything, it kind of creates a dissonance between you and them. So I love that you were just transparent with your son, like, hey, mommy and daddy are not going to be back together, but mommy is wanting love too. Mommy wants to date too, and explaining to him in a way where he could understand. And I love that. That's beautiful.
I had to do. Now he has his own car. I bought my son a car. So now I'm like, daddy doesn't have to come over here. You can go to him. Like, so
come on now.
Go on over there. You can drive to him. We ain't no come over here no more.
I love that. That's so beautiful. But how did you mentally get to that place too, where you just were like, it's about our son. It's not about me.
So with my oldest one, my daughter is still his only child. So they always had a close relationship. We're not bitter with one another. We've always been friends, and our families still love each other. I still love his mother and father and sister and brother and stuff. That'll never ever change. We are family, and I made that with her, right? With her father. So with this situation, it was just the same thing. I have to do what's best for my children, for my son, and he deserves to have both his mother and father. Although we're not under the same roof, he still deserves to have us both. I don't want to be a bitter baby mama. I don't want anyone to ever use the excuse that, well, I didn't see you because your mother wouldn't let me. No. Not with this, not with me. That can never be said.
Yeah. I think that's an important factor, because the truth. You guys hear me now? I think that's an important factor, because I think children are being made outside of wedlock. Let's be real. And like we said, they need to see these healthy interactions. It's very important that they're seeing this. And so I love that you're doing that. And if there's anybody out there that's listening, if you have a bonus family, bonus children, you have children outside of wedlock, 2 or more, whatever that looks like for you, I think the lesson on tonight is making sure you're transparent, cultivating healthy relationships between both parents where the children are seeing healthy interactions, and then also moving and being conscious of your behaviors moving forward. I think that's important. Any last thoughts that you wanted to leave on tonight?
I just think that we need to have responsible sex. We need to not focus so much on the sex and focus on the building of the relationship, and setting the foundation, because again, children can be made. If you're not willing to commit to this person, if you don't see them in any other way other than sex, then understand what may come along with that and accept the responsibility of that. And then you two will have to be 2 adults, to put whatever differences that you may have aside and raise that child together, or children together, And also to the men out there who are concerned or scared about dating women with children. And a lot of times it could be because maybe she got baby daddy drama. I think a lot of the drama part though comes with people are still messing around with each other. Dudes are not just, being drama. Same thing with women. It's because somebody is giving someone some type of mixed feeling. Like, let's just be clear about that. But, don't be scared, to date women that have a child or 2. Baby daddies is the max, 2 is the max. But give women a chance. You don't want to pass up your blessing. That woman with those 2 children that may have 2 different fathers still may be your blessing. Don't pass up your blessing because you're closed-minded, or you're in your own head, or you're worried about what other people are going to think about her and you because she has a child or children.
Yeah, because I did see a question that was posed: are stepdaddies weak? Absolutely not. I think men who come in to raise other children that are not theirs, I would give them crowns, period, because I feel like it is such an honor. I mean, my father who has raised me, he's not my biological father, but I call him dad, and he took me on when I was 3 years old and raised me. And he's still my father to this day. Right. I give him more respect and reverence than I do my own father, because I don't even really know my real father. Right. So I say that to say no, absolutely not. When I look at the pictures of little Future and how he is in interaction with Russell, and how he's smiling and how he is having that father-son interaction, nothing about that says weak to me.
Nothing. And honestly, sincere. Our brother Sincere love of God. His wife had a child when they got together, and he always says, "That's my son." He doesn't refer to that young man as his stepson. That's my son. Period. And that just made my heart, smile, because you want to hear Black men say stuff like that. It takes a strong, powerful, decent, godly, all that man to do something like that. And again, he said, "That's my son. That's not my stepson." He does not refer to him as his stepson. But he's, in talking, he's told me the story, and I'm like, oh, like, your wife is so blessed. Your wife is blessed.
And before we end tonight, I want to end it on this. It takes a village to raise a family. We got to get out of this mindset of isolation and doing things in solitude, and it's me versus them and them versus me. It's like, no, we need to get back into that mindset of it takes a village to raise children, a family, a community. It takes all of us doing our part to be the collective. So any last words that you want to say, sis?
Yes, I was speaking about that also in our live. We've taken neighbor out of the word hood, and we got to bring the neighbor back to the hood, going back to what you were talking about, us, being a community and stuff. So bring the neighbor back to the hood. We are a family. It takes the whole village to raise the family. If you see a hungry Black child, you go feed them. If you see a Black child crying and stuff, because I see it, you see it on social media, people will see certain things and walk away. Oh, that's not my business. Even when it comes to children, it is our business. It's our business because they are us. So it takes a village. And again, thank everybody for tuning in to the Pick Me Godcast. We appreciate y'all for tapping in with us yet again. Hope that you guys enjoyed the topic. I hope that, we conveyed what it is that we wanted to convey to you guys, and let's keep the conversation going.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Pick Me Godcast. Until next time, peace.
2 more weeks. We actually have a special guest. I think that's March 9th. We actually have a special guest, husband and wife team. Yay. And that topic for that one is going to be marriage is ... Marriage is ...
So stay tuned. You don't want to miss it. Until next time, y'all. God bless.
Peace and Black love.
Sunshine. Wisdom is the wise word spoken by the wise man. Wisdom is also symbolic to the Black woman. Long natural hair, short with the waves. I give a shout out to my sisters with the curly braids. They call it 4C, we call it 9-ether. She suffer autoimmune and formed alopecia. So keep a Black woman's name out your fucking mouth. I will slap a nigga brains out his fucking scalp. They on demon time, she on God time. Let's take a walk, we gon' see what's on the goddess mind.
Master elements.
Racism, white supremacy is a dynamic system for the ultimate purpose of white genetic survival on the planet. White supremacy.
You are in an evil system, a system that is designed deliberately to produce evil
save lives through the study of the history.
They didn't tell us that if you give up the man, you're going to take one of these things and it's worse and it will destroy your nation.
The right way is clearly distinct from error.
Racism is a competitive relationship between groups of people who are competing for the ownership and control of resources, wealth, and power.